Tear Injections podcast. I'm Corey Taylor. That's Tristan Moore. Next to him, Jimmy Aaron. Next to him, Jeff Sesselberg.
Definitely good for the audio. We are a podcast that takes a look back at the 1990s, and we're taking it month by month. And so this is, being our fourth episode, April 1990s. So we have a double dose of films because one is a little popular, one is a little bit of a hidden gem, and we wanted to try to see what we thought of both of them. So first one we're going to talk about is Cry Baby. This is the John Waters, probably the most popular film that he made, most accessible to a regular audience because he's a little bit of a divisive director. But it stars Johnny Depp as kind of a, what would you call those
greaser
guys? A greaser, yeah. I
greaser.
lost the word for a second. A greaser who is with a bunch of people that are all in his clan, and he kind of likes, what would you call the plain people, the squares? I guess squares.
Yeah, that's literally what they're called. And for the record,
they be the socias, but the squares. They call themselves squares.
Boy,
yeah. But the greasers in this are called drapes.
Yeah,
right.
True. Yeah, they're the drapes versus the squares.
Yeah. So then it's basically, that's your basic plot. He's in love with a square, so how do they all react?
It's like a Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
It's Romeo and Juliet on whippets.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as scatological as other John Waters movies.
No, better yet, it's more like Grease if it was raunchy.
Right.
Yeah?
Not as raunchy as you would think.
Not that raunchy, but Grease just a little bit more raunchiness.
It definitely, from the get-go, it you can feel the Grease send up, not only just with the material and everything, they're the classic teen action James Dean type movie, but it was also just everyone is a parody of themselves, and also these people are clearly not in high school.
Right. They're
just
all
like Grease.
Yeah. And it's definitely a send up of Grease because they start off with the music. Not only are they in bands, there's a talent contest and the Drapes have a band, but they also just happen to sing they're trying to get inoculations, which was very appropriate for the time we're living in, just to get a vaccine because there was a flu back in the 50s as well. But they're just singing in the chairs as they get the vaccine, and then they're singing down the street later. They're singing while they're driving. So it's not just because they're talented, but it's a little bit Footloose, a little bit Grease, but it's also John Waters' take on it.
Yeah.
You know what I found odd about this? This is probably one of his most conservative movies. There's even a part towards the beginning when Wade, played by Johnny Depp, says, "Hey, I don't drink and drive, man."
Which we'll get into in a
really
second.
puritanical.
Yeah.
But so who's in this movie, Tristan? Speaking of which.
Well, so this is actually the biggest thing that I wanted to come up with. You know how I always try to tie it together to something that's relevant right now? So Johnny Depp is the star. He's Cry Baby. But his love interest is played by Amy Locane, who just 2 weeks ago was recharged for a drunk driving manslaughter case that happened down the street in between Jeff and I, where we live in New Jersey. So she's been on Melrose Place after that and a couple of other things, and she was hoping to try and turn her career around because she spent a little time in jail for this, and she's cleaned up and everything, but apparently it reoccurred. Not that she drank again, but they decided to give her the rest of her sentence. She had gotten out on good time, and messy case, but
yeah. There was
current and relevant right now. So.
Right, it was, everything came full circle, which is.
And it's ironic, as Johnny Depp said, "I don't even drink and drive." Looking right at her, I looked at Jimmy and I'm like, "Oh, I have the thing," and I had to wait a month to tell you why.
Oh God, is Halle Berry in the back seat?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I feel terrible. Obviously, someone died.
Yeah, it's because it was a fatal drunk driving accident that
Yeah.
got her in jail. Well, she was in jail the first time, and then they re-sentenced her to like 2
Yeah,
weeks
it was
ago
like she got out
because
of
they decided that her sentence was too lenient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
Yeah, I think
Wait, so like she got out and they were like, no, you got to go back in.
she was doing
it
community
was
service too after she got out of jail. And I didn't read the new case. I just saw the headline, but
I don't know.
sentenced to 10 years again, so
Oh wow, so she's
But 30 years ago,
yeah. Let me see. I'll just Google.
she was in a movie called Crybaby.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently the Melrose Place thinks she was like also 10 years removed from the rest of the cast. So like,
Really, she's older than all of them, or younger?
I think she was younger. Like Melrose Place was on in what, early 90s, late 90s. She was like she was a decade younger than the rest of the cast. So she was like just doing what she could. But I don't know. She was good in this movie.
How do we think of this singing?
Well, we know Johnny can sing. Was that actually dubbed though? Because
It was dubbed. Johnny wasn't singing during the singing.
Yeah, but was
It
it Johnny
was
later?
I don't believe so, because every time according to the credits, there was a different guy that did the voice when he was singing. But I don't know. Let's look at that.
I mean, the fact that they looked like they were lip sync was appropriate to parodize. But it's kind of ironic that he ends up forming his own band. He's like friends with all these rock stars, Yeah. He probably could have done this.
Yeah, he can sing. He does sing, but I don't know if he would sing like Elvis type. That's got a certain kind of voice that I don't know.
And then having people like Ricky Lake and Iggy Pop be grapes, they could sing. We know that.
Yeah.
Porn star Tracy Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just easier to have somebody else sing it and then have him lip sync to it, and not have to like dub it later.
That is often what they do.
And if they were like actually singing on set, and like if there was a screw up, that's a lot of retakes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a way they do that, but as far as like the actual recording, I don't know if it was him.
Yeah.
But,
that is typical, but
yeah.
Les Miserables was one of the few that actually had they had mics on so they could get it as live as possible, but that's really the only one back in 2012. So back in 90s.
In the before times.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a cast of miscreants in this movie.
Yeah. Tracy Lords.
That's one of my. I mean, one of the reasons I love John Waters is he just has all these. You were talking about it being the more accessible of his movies, because this was his first major studio one. This was after Hairspray, which had, way before they made the musical out of that. Like, it was a success in its own right. And I think that one only cost like $2.5 million, and he somehow convinced people to be like, "Look, I made Hairspray," and they gave him $12 million to make Crybaby, which is why they. And he, always likes to cast the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not unorthodox, but like non-conventional.
Yeah, I mean, you could say both.
Yeah.
I mean, Hatchet Face is one of his oddities, I'd say.
But Hatchet Face and, Tracy Lords and
then Kim McGuire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause she was actually going through some stuff at the time too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drama. I don't know if we want to get into that or.
The one thing, well, what was it? Because I don't know if I actually saw this.
Well, Tracy was being investigated by the FBI during production.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Kim, but yeah, Tracy knew about.
Yeah, and then so to make everyone else to make her feel better, because she was like 21 at the time or something.
Right,
but
and she had been doing softcore porn when she was 17 for sure. And so they were trying to investigate her, right?
Right. But then just to make her feel better, the rest of the cast was just like regaling her with tales of when they had run-ins with the police. They're like, "You're not the first. It's okay. You're good."
But they came to set trying to
Yeah.
find her,
Right.
and the rest of the cast like hid her and said, "No, she's not here today," and tried to take the heat off, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
She ended up having a successful career in film after that, at least for someone that was coming from the porn world. So it led the way for people like what's her name that was in the
Sasha Grey.
Yeah, Sasha Grey. Though we thought she was going to do more stuff in mainstream film, and she just did that. But there are
Yeah.
more and more people that are kind of crossing over. So.
Yeah, but
Who else was there?
so she played Wanda. She played one of the Drapes.
Yeah, so we also had, well, I mentioned Ricky Lake, who had been his star in Hairspray. That plays, is it his sister or no? It was the other guy's sister.
She plays Crybaby's sister.
That was Crybaby's sister?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Oh, yeah, it says Pepper Walker and Milton Hackett.
Yeah.
Hackett is the other guy who's dating Tracy Lords. This is a guy named Darren Burroughs. I don't really know from anything else.
Milton's the
Squares.
Squares.
Then in the Squares, there's Stephen Mailer. I don't know what else he's been in. I looked at him and I didn't recognize any of the films he'd been in. But he seemed like a Josh Charles type, kind of like the guy in Hairspray.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits.
I like how the acting in the movie kind of walks that fine line between paying homage and being spoof.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's very mannered in the movie.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that was...
Oh, God.
No, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts. Was it was just like stylized like that. Like, you know that this is just a send up of like Reefer Madness era
Right.
things. But then he also has no problem like dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
Not in this one, though.
Yeah, I don't think he ever had.
Oh wait, no, I was confusing with the other movie. But
Miami Blues, yeah.
Yeah.
The next one we're talking about.
But
yeah, that is a different director. He does
this one is surprisingly wholesome for a John Waters movie.
Yeah, there's no shit eating.
I'm sure he was like tied to a chair involving that too. I'm sure he was, because there were points like the French kissing scene where I'm like, this is really John Waters.
It's so disgusting.
I'm sure he wanted to do something in the prison scene.
Yeah.
With all the boys hanging around, you know.
He's like trying to do.
Oh, God. Speaking of that, Willem Dafoe is one of the biggest cameos in the film.
For a whole minute.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a wonderful speech, but I'm sure it was kind of like they had just done Platoon together, Johnny and Willem Dafoe.
No, so, right.
I'm sure there was something that got him to come down and just messed with him, you know? It kind of looks like John Waters let him go and just improv.
Just go what you feel.
Just fuck with Johnny.
Yeah. Just fuck with Johnny and pray for things that happened in the 1950s.
Yeah. There's a couple other ones. I don't know if you guys recognize this, but there's Troy Donahue and Mink Stoll. They're 50s symbols. And
Mink Stoll's in a lot of John Waters movies. She's part of that touring company.
Okay. Joey Heatherton, though, weren't they 50s icons? Joey Heatherton and Troy Donahue?
Yeah, I think so,
Yeah. And then here's the weirdest one.
Patty Hearst.
Yeah, Patty Hearst is the mother of, what's her name? Amy Locane's character, Allison. So
Lebanese Liberation Army.
Yeah, this is what she did after that whole Patty Hearst kidnapping.
Yeah,
so
that brainwashing.
Yeah, this is the most John Waters thing, to get Patty Hearst to be in like a 50s teen comedy. So, you know,
she's in a lot of his subsequent movies too.
Really?
She's in Serial Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's in Cecil B. Demented.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've really only seen Pink Flamingos and this now. I haven't even seen Hairspray, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen the remake.
I think I have it at some point. it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I've
It's
seen
a
the
lot
movie
more.
on
Yeah.
stage, so I know the plot.
Yeah.
Well, this
It's a
was
little
turned into a
different.
Broadway musical as well.
It was that lasted for 68 performances and still
Yeah.
somehow cleaned up a bunch of
Really?
awards. Yeah.
Huh.
I
What
was.
awards did it get?
Hang on.
Yeah.
Let's talk
I
about
know.
something else while I look this up.
Yeah, as the movie didn't get anything. And actually,
Hmm.
for box office, it only made about like 3 million in its
Yeah.
first weekend. It didn't really make a lot overall. So it didn't.
Well, if you look at the competition from last month, they didn't have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned in last month, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pretty Woman, and Hunt for Red October were still in the top 10 cleaning house.
Right.
For the rest of the
Um,
month, it's basically the top 2 or just switching places. So
It was nominated for the Tonys in 2008 for Best Musical, Best Book of a Musical, Best Original Score, and Best Choreography. And it was nominated for Best Choreography for Drama Desk. It won the Drama Desk Award for Best Choreography,
yeah,
or Outstanding Choreography, which is believable considering like the dance numbers that made this movie were, some of the best parts.
yeah, I liked all the musical numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Jimmy, you're not a fan of musicals, but
No, I'm not a big fan.
it
What was your
wasn't
favorite?
the worst musical.
What was your
What?
favorite number?
Oh, geez. I
Describe what was happening during the song that you remember liking.
me zoning out.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was not
Yeah, no.
looking forward to
When
watching
musical
this one.
when musical numbers happen, I just start to tune it out because I'm like, okay, this is just.
Well, what
this
was your favorite part of the
It's
movie?
too much like your own reality.
Oh, the favorite part of the movie, like I don't know, like
You don't know how many times we have to edit the podcast when he breaks in the song.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
yeah, no, I guess my favorite part of the movie is I guess it's a climax. I mean, like everything's
I
going
guess,
down.
yeah.
It's just like it's like all right, everything's coming to a head.
I-
So like I guess
Yeah.
But which climax?
the climax.
Because there's like a lot of things
there's-
going on in this movie.
A lot of
And
things.
it ends on a climax.
It's messy.
Like there's a chicken scene, and then
It's not like
does
the
a-
chicken scene in Pink Flamingos, though.
No, that's
playing
true.
chicken.
Hold these
Oh,
goddamn
yeah.
chickens!
when they're playing chicken at the very end, there's a song going on.
So there's no chicken scene. They're just
Yeah.
playing chicken.
Well,
They're
what-
playing chicken. Yes.
Like I
It's
said,
not
I'm
like
thinking, I
American
don't remember
Graffiti.
chicken, and then it took
I
a second.
did-
I'm like,
I did forget the race
yeah.
because I was thinking of them on stage and him showing up with all his prison buddies. So
Well, the jailhouse scenes are funny.
I like the
those are
jailhouse
amusing.
song. Yeah, that is my favorite part.
And that's a straight up send up of Jailhouse Rock.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he even has like the curly hair like Elvis.
Right.
So,
This whole thing just feels like if Romeo and Juliet like took a puff of a joint at the same time and while listening to Jailhouse Rock,
yeah.
Yeah.
and this is what the fever dream that came out of that.
Yeah. So you always have a good way to describe this. That's good. Yeah.
So
But
Yeah. What do we all really think of it? I mean, like, I don't know if you have final thoughts. I don't know if there was any other trivia to give or anything. Yeah. I mean,
trivia, actually, there was. Hang on.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp didn't want to dance.
Really?
There was he didn't want to dance because he hates dancing, but John Waters, in typical John Waters fashion, was just like, no, can you just do just for this?
Just a little bit. Is
We're
why
not
you
even going to
dance
film
so
it. We're
much?
not even going to film it.
Right. Speaking of not going to film it, there was also a bit where like I think it was the party scene, like right before the Proud Boys showed up, but like
Yeah.
it was very. There were some weird parallels.
Crybaby told him to stand by.
Watching that
Stand
movie. But anyway, I think it was at the party scene. They had filmed with a contortionist, like a
Oh,
young
right.
kid or something who was just a professional contortionist. Like they just wanted weird things happening. They
Yeah.
filmed it. They cut that scene. They didn't tell her.
Yeah.
And so she shows up at the premiere expecting to see her 5 minutes of fame, and
Brought
then
our whole family.
and then wasn't there.
Sorry,
Like,
bud.
that sucks.
That happens a lot more than people realize. Think like Adrian Brody in Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine doing something, because that's,
Ridiculous.
you normally wouldn't be in movies.
Yeah.
And so, like, this was your opportunity, and then they cut it at the last minute. But other than that, I mean, we went over the other trivia stuff. So it was like the musical and Amy Locane's
Yeah.
ironic record.
Yeah, I checked that out. It's that she had originally been given 3 years, but then she served that, and now she's been out for about 3 to 5, I think. Because the incident was in 10, it took a little while to get her in jail because how trials work, and so I think she's been out for 3, and now they're saying you needed more. I don't know if that 3 will apply to the 10 they've now given her because this just happened. So they're going to sift that out. And of course, she could get off for good behavior, which she'd already been doing. So, like, she has not relapsed. She had been doing community service after getting out of jail. She's trying to get her life back together. So it's kind of a weird speed bump because the family wanted more justice.
Well, I hope she,
I don't know if
she
speed
does.
bump was the right
I hope
word.
things.
Wait, does that mean they have to does that mean they have to
Poor
reach?
choice, my friend.
They did. That's the thing. I don't know why this happened.
Wait, isn't that's illegal, right?
I don't know.
Ask Ashley Judd. I don't know.
I don't think we're
Double jeopardy.
tracking a case here, but
Yeah, this is not a true crime podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
I already knocked it off my phone. We'll look it up later.
Yeah,
But, I hope she gets her shit together, because
Yeah.
she
Google
seems like a
it.
lovely person, and
Right.
it's terrible.
Well, we're trying to get back to normal. And of course, then COVID.
But yeah.
So what are our
Real
final thoughts on this?
Final thoughts. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the. It's easier for me to watch parody movies of things like this, like especially when they go so over the top, like the orphanage scene, where it's literally just like they're walking like through a pet shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they leave and the kids are driving.
Mm-hmm. It's a little goofy, but
It is. It's goofy. It's fun. The music is okay. The acting is supposed to be over the top, so it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it. We still doing numbers here, letters here. What do we?
Yeah, letters.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid A minus.
Like, which way is he going? I like it. I don't think I liked it as much as I wanted to, but I love Johnny Depp as an actor, and this is like right as he was about to be like that underrated star with Benny and June and everything. So I can see his star about to shine and everything. So I enjoyed him. I enjoyed his chemistry with Amy Locane. I wish she had done other things. So, but I like that they're parodizing the stuff I like Grease and Footloose and stuff like that. It does get a little weird, so it's not going to be like my favorite film of these kind of things. So I'd probably give it like a B. It has at least the potential to be watched once, People that like this kind of genre will like it.
Or like John Waters movies.
Oh yeah, I mean this is easily
definitely.
The most so.
What do you think, Jimmy?
I'd give it a B plus. I mean,
Oh, you liked it more than me?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Wait, didn't you give it an A?
I give it a B. That was
you gave it a B. Yeah, no.
Yes.
I zoned out. But no, I give it a B plus. It was a pretty good movie. Not too keen on musicals, like we already established, but like seeing it, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would give it a B. As a studio compromise movie, it's as good as you're gonna get from a John Waters movie, who's normally pretty scurrilous. It's defanged, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I think he found like a good way to work within the Hollywood system Like everybody said, the music's infectious. Johnny Depp is good, but he's not as bohemian and idiosyncratic as he got in his other movies, where he's clearly trying to play like somebody eccentric. So I think he's a good lead for this. I think he grounds everything, surprisingly. Everybody else is a little, like we said, kind of mannered and over the top. But yeah, if you're a fan of like jukebox musicals, you'll be a huge fan of this.
Cool. Yeah. Why don't you? Well, actually, do you want to introduce this one?
Oh
This is
no,
your
no,
big
no. I'm
thing.
not. I'm not an introducer.
Is
I'm an interjector.
Is it because it's been a month since we watched it
Yeah,
and you
no.
don't remember the synopsis?
No, I remember. Well, I remember most of it, but like I'll interject as we
So
watch.
our other film that we watched for the month, 2 weeks later, came a film that was a bit of a cop thriller chase movie. Kind of.
Dark comedy.
Kind of comedy, yeah. Called Miami Blues. Alec Baldwin shows up in Miami and just kind of wreaks havoc on this one detective's life and the people around him. He just starts living with a hooker he picks up and decides to take his detective rival, sort of, his badge and pretend to be that detective and start like pretending he's coming up to help you, and then he robs you himself. And
Or he robs the robbers.
right.
He goes into a bit of a like semi like vigilante, semi Robin Hood-esque type person. Except he doesn't give money back to the poor. He just kind of keeps it for himself.
He lets everyone else do the heavy lifting and break the windows, and he just takes the loot.
He's the definition of chaotic evil. So,
Or chaotic neutral. He became
doesn't
like
care what happens. I guess. I don't know. I think
He
he's
can
gonna-
go. Yeah.
No, he sucker punches that Harry Krishna guy in the beginning.
Well,
He breaks his finger.
Chaotic
That's
evil.
true.
Knockout game.
If he was playing chaotic evil, he would have been like the kind of guy that would just deliberately go out to do things just for the sake of evil, just doing it because it's disrupting things.
It was
He's
basically
going at it as a guy trying to survive in a world he doesn't quite fit into.
All I'm gonna say is it's a good thing Rick Moranis wasn't in that airport.
oh no.
Oh.
It was witnessing Alec Baldwin becoming Alec Baldwin though.
Yeah, because he had done like Beetlejuice before.
More like Daniel Baldwin.
Oh.
More.
One of those How many Baldwins are there? I don't even know.
4 that I know of.
4 that we know of.
Yeah.
There could be more.
I think there's 3 actors, and one of them, there's a 4th brother that didn't become an actor, and
Zeppo.
then there's Adam Baldwin, who isn't related.
There's Zeppo and Chico and
Yeah. William's the best one. Hot take.
there's Sean and Marlon.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy was a huge fan of this movie. I want Jimmy.
Oh yeah, no, this movie caught me completely off guard because like I legitimately thought it was gonna be like a cop drama, like based on like what little I knew. I thought Alec Baldwin was like maybe some slick cop or detective that came into Miami and is gonna help.
Yeah. We didn't really.
The poster is misleading.
I thought he was the protagonist, not the antagonist.
Yeah.
So that completely flipped on me, and because like it sets you up a little bit, like when he comes to the airport, it's like he's like, "I am trouble," and breaks the
Harry Krishna's neck
by
punching him.
Well, he broke his
his finger and he went
broke
into
his
shock.
finger. Yeah, he killed him by breaking his finger.
Yeah, and he went into shock.
And that's what sends off the whole investigation.
I got the sense that maybe he was like maybe he's not a cop, but like maybe he's a bad cop. Who knows?
Yeah, he's corrupt or something. Or he's just
or he's just an edgy cop that will break anybody's fingers that gets in his way.
Yeah, I honestly thought he didn't think he had killed the guy, and he's just like
it sunk in real quick when things was like, okay, maybe he's not the protagonist.
Yeah, when he's messing around with Jennifer Jason Leigh, who plays this hooker, and he's like saying how weird life can be. It's just okay, so he's just off his rocker a little bit.
But like it's neat that like really the because the way that it's advertised, like if you look at the poster, like you see Alec Baldwin, he's
holding a badge.
Like I didn't realize the real main character, the detective played by from
Fred Ward.
Fred Ward.
Like when he showed up, I'm like, oh, he's in this movie, and then like again took a while to sink in. I was like, oh no, he's the main character. It's really all 3 of them, the detective, the hooker, and the troublemaker.
Right.
1990 was the year of Fred Ward.
Main characters, but like the one that you really want to root for is probably the detective because
You
he's
should
getting
want to, but
because like he's getting shit on a little bit.
you could root for any of the three of them.
Yeah, you could,
Which
really.
one's your favorite? You know,
But,
do you want to see Alec wreak havoc? Do you want to see Jennifer Jason Leigh escape from
Yeah,
this? Because
but-
there's a bit of like
Yeah,
where Fred Ward's like, I'm giving you a chance to help save yourself.
yeah, but
in
it's
the
real
supermarket.
neat because like as the movie's going on, it's dawning on me like this isn't a cop movie; it's a western.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because, like,
The
Alec
ending is very
comes
much
in
a
to be, like,
standoff.
he essentially comes in to be the new sheriff in town, but like
Mhm.
he's a bad sheriff.
And so the old sheriff who wanted to retire, sort of.
Yeah, has to
Kinda-
come back in and take his badge back. Like,
He
Yeah.
steals the marshal's badge.
Right.
yeah, exactly. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
it just
There's a hooker who doesn't want to be a hooker anymore, thinks
Yeah.
she's getting clean, you know?
yeah.
Right.
And then like it's very Shakespearean at the end, which I
Yeah.
enjoy.
It was all
It was like
mystical too. It all made sense, which
Yeah.
it could have gotten off the rails, you know.
it was like Risky Business meets Miami Vice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, because he was definitely like a kid in a candy store when he got that badge. Like
Well, yeah,
everything,
That's all
it was very much like it was a very silly spree right up until he actually started killing people. Were like, oh, this was all just like,
shop was a good idea.
yeah,
Well,
it was
I mean-
like he was just taking TVs from people, and like someone mugged a lady, and he took the purse and ran.
That
And
was-
then it escalated really quickly. And I'm like, oh, this guy, wow, all right.
Yeah, I like his performance insofar as his character's trying to either balance domesticity with the Jennifer Jason Leigh character or being gleefully sadistic and nihilistic and just doing whatever he wants,
See,
causing all types of mischief.
I never saw the actual, like, genuinely balancing domesticity. Like, that whole relationship seemed just abusive to me. And maybe
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
no,
watching it,
I think it was
watching it
supposed to
through.
be.
Well, that
Yeah,
the whole,
right,
the whole,
but
go on.
No, I'm like, I know it's probably supposed to be, but like, then you're supposed to feel for Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, and I did not take Alec Baldwin's attempt at domesticity and any like sort of sincerity in that.
I was waiting for him to snap at some point.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, it all could have been
Yeah,
a
not
facade
Yeah,
for
yeah,
her.
It was surprising.
And it all could have been a facade for her, and he's manipulating her naivete for his own gain. But in any other movie, like Jimmy said, he would have been the protagonist. But in this, he's clearly like the anti-hero. So the whole time you're not. I actually kind of like that you're not quite sure what's going on in his head,
Right.
Yeah.
because there would be at the end in a traditional, conventional Hollywood movie, there'd be a redemption arc. There's none of that in this.
Or an explanation at the very least. Like Fred Ward sort of finds out, oh, he's using a different name already. So he's just used to playing people and being a con man. So this is just his forte, and
Yeah, this is
that's
just
all
not-
the explanation we get. Like he knows that a person died in his last known location.
Yeah, L.A.
Did he kill her? Did she just die? Was she even real? You know, like we don't really know what happened there. We never find out, which
Wait,
is refreshing.
Kill her.
The person, not the person he was being. There's
Oh.
like another person in that report.
Oh, okay.
My favorite scene in the whole movie is when he invites Fred Ward for dinner.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say that. Yeah, that's the best scene.
Yeah, which is the scene that like sets off
Okay.
all of the whole thing.
And you know he kind of knows something's up already because
Yeah.
maybe he knows Jennifer Jason Leigh from that hotel already because she usually cooks in that hotel that Alec Baldwin first stays at. And so when they're finally in her apartment, it's her apartment, right? Where the
Yeah,
dinner
it's her
happens.
apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, then he like is playing cat and mouse. He's like, could be anybody, so I don't want to just assume, but this guy just smells like trouble, and he doesn't spell it out for us. So
Once again, with the Fred Ward character, he could have been a laughingstock because he's got false teeth. He's got widow's peak, he's balding, he's got a recessive hairline, but he still has good detective instincts. Where he's like, you're hunched over your plate, kind of like you've done some time.
Yeah,
Like he obviously has good hunches about people.
yeah,
that was.
Teeth is just like a quirk, I think, that lends itself to be memorable more than anything, rather than a crutch that's like a joke.
Yeah.
Well, this is based on a series of books that revolve around the Fred Ward character. And I guess if this had been successful, this would have spawned like a whole series of movies.
Yeah, it was not successful.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, it's coming
It is
out 2 weeks
unfortunate.
after Crybaby. It made the same amount first weekend, and they
Oh,
both
wow.
premiered an eighth, and they both made like 11 million total.
As we go through the 90s,
Yeah.
we will see attempts at Alec Baldwin to be a leading man,
Yeah.
and it will backfire financially every time, unfortunately.
He doesn't
Well, I
really make it. He hedged his bets on Hunt for Red October and then never really made it until 30 Rock. So that's the whole decade.
really.
Although Alec
Mhm.
Baldwin impersonating Scarface is probably like peak,
Yeah.
transition from 80s into 90s. That was a weird.
He's a good actor and he's always appearing and stuff. And it was just that he was a bigger tabloid star. He was a bigger celebrity than he was than an actor in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah,
He's better as a character actor, supporting actor.
Right. He wasn't bad, and I feel like this movie just felt like unbalanced because, it if we're going off of the books that it was based on, it is like going around like Fred Ward's character. And Fred Ward was a producer on this. Fred Ward's gonna be Fred Ward, and that was kind of like, and so he's got this sort of like kind, seen some shit, but still kind to the suspect type, grandfatherly like
Well,
almost.
you know who he was originally to play?
He was
They wanted him to be the Alec Baldwin character, and they were
Right.
actually going to Gene Hackman be the detective.
Yeah.
With the teeth and everything.
Would have reminded me
it's
too much of
funny.
Popeye Doyle.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have combined the 2 months we did, Tremors and
I don't know if that would have
Right.
worked tonally. I don't know if that would
I
have
mean,
worked.
it didn't work now tonally.
right.
I disagree. I'm with Jimmy on this. I love this
Okay,
movie.
all right.
Yeah, this is great. So sorry, Jeff.
Oh,
No, that's fine. I was, that scene where Fred Ward like falls asleep in front of the TV.
Yeah.
It was me the first time I tried to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It was tough.
It
It wasn't bad. It was just like
it's quiet.
it's a quiet movie, and it's very like it doesn't feel like a steady progression. It's just sort of all over the place.
Mhm.
Maybe that was trying to go along with Alec Baldwin's character of
Yeah.
this
It's kind of
renegade, but
Well, the
I
director.
kind of like how it didn't try to be madcap the whole time. It was kind of, I don't want to say, I guess, unpredictable in a way, kind of capricious like he is. Very fickle. It'll go from one incident to the next. I guess it's trying to get you into the pathology of Freddy's character.
Well, that's sort of George Armitage, the director. Is kind of forte. He doesn't really go the traditional.
Rose Point
route
Blank,
of-
by the way, which is one of the best movies of the 90s that we'll talk about at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, and it kind of flips the hitman genre on its head. So he's always trying to like tweak storytelling in a way that is more effective than usual, and I think he hits it here. But that could lend itself to be a little droll if you're watching this late at night or something. So
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, we're trying to win you over, Jeff.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to win me over. I just, but what else did I write down here?
So a couple other actors in this. There's Nora Dunn in an early role where she's an informant for Fred Ward's character, sort of a little bit of a love interest, but not really. They don't really go into it. They flirt a bit, but like in another traditional cop movie, they would probably, actually get together at the end. But they're just, buddies. And another friend of his, Charles Napier, will pop in from time to time. He's the sergeant that brings him in on the Hare Krishna case. He'll pop in and be like, "Did you find your teeth yet?" Because Alec Baldwin steals his teeth as well, just to rub it in his face that he got his badge. So it was very funny. I liked Charles Napier a lot.
He's great in everything whenever he pops up.
Yeah, and
He's one of those James Rebhorn kind of guys that just pops up.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. My favorite moment with him is when they're like above the dead body of the Hare Krishna, just laughing about crime in general. Then you
Crime.
know that's when you know, because you're not sure exactly what Alec Baldwin's up to, and you see this is the introduction of Fred Ward, and he's kind of lackadaisical, and Charles Napier's just like another day in paradise, right? And you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a little wry. So, I appreciate his character for that.
I saw, interestingly enough, they were going to get Jonathan Demme to direct this, which would have felt kind of like him coming off of Married to the Mob. It's kind of similar, and also had Alec Baldwin in a similar kind of role. But actually, that movie is very screwball and slapstick. I can't stand that movie.
Yeah, I wonder if he would have made this too lean, too heavy into comedy.
Yeah.
Because then the next thing he does instead is Silence of the Lambs, right?
Right.
So, yeah, he also might not have ended up being able to direct that.
Sure.
Just timeline-wise. So, but yeah, I think George Armitage is good. He really hasn't done anything else but this and Grosse Pointe Blank.
He did The Big Bounce, which was not very good.
Yeah. He did something before this. There was like an early film that he worked with the, what's his name? The Little Shop of Horrors dude.
Roger Corman?
Yeah, he worked with, he was one of the Roger Corman guys.
Oh, he did Vigilante Force, which actually I've seen, which is Chris Christopherson and Jan Michael Vincent. Not very good.
Yeah, but he cut his teeth on that, and that results in this, even though it's 10 years later.
Right.
Speaking of cutting teeth.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my favorite line in the entire movie is Fred Ward's last bit.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you look different. Yeah, I got my teeth back. And that's...
He's great in this. I wish
I thought he was great.
He's good in this and Tremors, and like we're discovering Fred Ward this year.
Right. Yeah. It's the year of Fred Ward, and that's like he was great, but I feel like a lot of it was based around his character, and that's why it didn't feel right. But I don't know. This is me.
I don't know. Fred Ward's had the kind of career that almost Alec Baldwin's kind of had, because they've tried to give him leading roles. Like before Tremors and this was Remo Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Was supposed to start a franchise, and they've been talking about rebooting that for a long time, but that didn't go anywhere. There's been The Right Stuff he was in didn't take off.
Well, we saw that this year. That's why I kind of think it's the year of Fred Ward for us.
Yeah. So
it's the year of Fred Ward. It's the year of hookers with hearts of gold. It's
Sewers.
It's like Sewers. Yeah,
just
it's like
two guys.
Just in a bad situation.
Two good guys trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Boy, they weren't good guys in this.
Yeah, they weren't.
So I love this movie. I'd give this an A+ for sure.
Right.
Sorry, Jeff.
Whatever. Don't apologize.
I'm gonna talk you out and be like A++.
I don't think that.
Oh.
A++.
No, everybody gets one. You get an A++.
Because
this is your only one you're allowed in 1990.
All right. Okay, I can wait a year.
Wow.
Or wait till you forget you said that.
I never forget anything.
Yeah.
I would probably give this an A- for sure. Definitely. It's a very delightfully off-kilter black comedy. I categorize it as a black comedy because it does have moments of not solemn drama, but it does have dramatic underpinnings, but it doesn't last for long.
Well, that's why I think it's a perfect Western, because it kind of does get dark.
Yeah, it does have some ambiguity, and the characters, I think, are given more dimension than they normally would have, and you're not really given I don't want too much of a psychological insight into all these characters. I'd rather be kind of a mystery as to what's going on within their heads. So I like that most about the movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna give it a C.
It's fine.
Yeah, you can.
Well, no, but the thing was, and then thinking about what Jimmy said, because I hadn't looked at it from the point of view that it was more of a Western, and in that,
he's a black hat.
Slightly better. Go with a B-.
See,
you got
sometimes this is what's great about talking about these movies with friends is sometimes you're your position either gets ameliorated or it worsens depending on the opinions of the other people.
Yeah. Now, not
Peer
that you
pressure.
have to agree with us, but like maybe we hype you up,
Yeah.
or you
And
hear
like
a different
you get
perspective.
a different perspective, and you're
Right,
like,
that
oh, yeah,
was-
under that light, then yeah, no, that checks out.
Yeah.
Even if you're never going to watch this again, at least you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I can see that.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to talk about a few other movies. We'll finish off with a special one, or we could start with that. What do you guys think?
Sure. You want to start with that? We'll talk
Yeah,
about
I'll bring it up. Sorry,
one of the movies that came out this month was a movie called Catch Fire, directed by Dennis Hopper, starring Dennis Hopper and Jodie Foster, and Joe Pesci ostensibly had a cameo role, but from what I've heard from somebody who's seen it, who happens to be on the podcast, it's
Yeah.
expanded into a supporting role.
Yeah, it's
and
he
Tristan has
wanted
seen
himself
this.
off it. This I saw out of the blue one night because it's on YouTube in its entirety, and I had heard about it from one of our friends, Pat. He had like watching a rush of films one day, and it's one of those cult films that kind of disappeared because Dennis Hopper wanted his own cut that the studio was pressuring him against. And what was the other name? Backtrace?
Yeah, Backtrack.
Backtrack. So he wanted it to be called Backtrack, and then it was put into, I think, Showtime or something when it
It
finally
was HBO.
HBO and called Catch Fire, and they chopped it to bits. And it still makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to begin with. It's kind of a weird film. Dennis Hopper was probably on his peyote or something.
Right.
But it has Fred Ward as a detective.
Oh, great.
The initial thing is Jodie Foster is an accidental witness to a mob murder, and Joe Pesci is killing an informant or something. And her car broke down on the highway, so she's trying to cross past a fence to get to a gas station she sees over in the distance to get some help. And she passes by this like back lot where this mob murder is happening. So now she's taken in by Fred Ward, and he's like, we'll protect you. We'll put you into witness protection. But her whole life will just fall apart. She won't be able to do what she's been doing. And so she's like, I'd rather not like go with the cops. I don't think that'll protect me. Especially as we find out, the cops are kind of corrupt anyway, so she would not have been protected. So she goes on the run herself and just erases her life. And it was funny because that morning I had been looking into this, and so it kept popping up like how to make yourself invisible. She does everything that article I read said not to do. One of the biggest things is like you have to leave your life behind. If you were a graphic designer, you cannot now get a new graphic design job even though you've moved, say, from New York to LA. Like you'll get a little famous again and people will look for your same style. And that comes up because the mob hires Dennis Hopper to track her down. And he does very easily because she just does her old job in a new place. But then the movie takes a weird twist where when he's supposed to kill her, he falls in love with her inexplicably and then kidnaps her from her own murder and takes her on the run from his mob buddies and decides to leave the mob business behind and just be with her. And he kind of forces her to be with her, but then she likes that and gets a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. And it's just the most uncomfortable film. But it's
You're really selling this, make me want to see it.
It's fascinating, though. It's real interesting what he does with the cinematography and the dialogue. And if you like any of these actors, because besides the ones we've mentioned, Dennis Hopper, Fred Ward, and Jodie Foster, Joe Pesci he's not the head of the mob. It's actually Vincent Price. And Joe Pesci is like
you just
number two.
Yeah, wait, what?
Yeah, it's like
how could you bury the lead?
Well, he's actually not in it as much. He has like 2 scenes because Joe Pesci has to answer to him. One of Joe Pesci's thugs is John Turturro in a semi-early role. Who else was in it?
Before he was under Devastator's testicles.
It has an early cameo from, oh boy, I'm forgetting, Catherine Keener. She pops up as a trucker that passes by Jodie Foster's place and asks for like directions. And for some reason, she decides to write a letter to her friend and give it to this trucker to mail for her. And so the trucker just like mails it right from next to her house. She's trying to get it to a different mailbox, so it's not like planting her directly where she lives. And the trucker just like goes to the mailbox right there and fucks everything up.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a fever dream of a film, and it's really fascinating to see like if you've ever heard about like Jodie Foster and Dennis Hopper, they have a real hatred for each other. So it's real uncomfortable watching them try to like have a romance. But if you're into like weird cult films, this is very interesting. I would not recommend it for our regular audience. So
Save it for the After Dark audience.
yeah.
Something else that came out this month is a sequel to I don't know how many people are familiar with Ernest. He did a lot of commercials in the 90s and I think late 80s. And then he got his own series of spin-off films. Jim Varney plays him.
Yeah.
This is Ernest Goes to Jail. Honestly, my favorite of the Ernest movies. A perfect background for Jeff right now. This is probably my favorite of the Ernest movies. He actually gets to play evil Ernest at one point, and he switches places with the good Ernest to get outside. And then the ending is just pure slapstick mayhem. And if you like Jim Varney, you'll love this movie.
I've never seen any Ernest films, but I always liked Jim Varney.
Why didn't we get to talk about this one?
I know. That would have been the third
I love
one.
that one.
How do you? Oh well.
Do you like the movie, Jeff?
I did. I love that movie. I was obsessed with the Ernest movies.
Me
Really?
too.
Like
Yeah.
I shed several tears when Jim Varney passed. The man is a national hero.
Never got.
There's even stuff in the Ernest movies that is almost like proto Robin Williams, where he'll just do a bunch of disguises and do impressions of famous actors or movie characters, like he does with James Cagney and some other people, and it's showcased in this a few times. I'm sure Jeff knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I recommend Ernest Goes to Jail.
Like Robin Williams mixed with Pee Wee Herman.
Right. Yeah. Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens, yes.
There was a movie called The First Power, which, again, with the trends. Another movie about a serial killer put to death who's resurrected to haunt the detective who put him in jail. This one stars Lou Diamond Phillips. Very biodegradable, forgettable movie.
Oh well.
There's a Lawrence Kasdan movie called I Love You to Death, which ironically is based on a case in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where a woman tried to have her philandering pizza parlor husband killed, but he was so resilient, he gets shot in the head, and he continues to survive inexplicably.
This really happened in Allentown?
Does he continue to make pizza after getting shot?
Corey and I met, so.
Yeah, actually, it's a fun movie.
Does he still roam the streets?
Yeah, actually, it has an early role for Keanu Reeves, plays one of the hitmen, along with William Hurt. They look completely disheveled. They don't look like themselves. And the husband's actually played by Kevin Kline, who's been in a lot of Lawrence Kasdan movies, as we all know.
I love Kevin Kline.
There's The Gods Must Be Crazy 2, which I haven't seen the first one, but I know the first one's kind of a whimsical family film about this African tribesman who finds this Coke bottle and wants to bring it back to the gods at the edge of the world. This one, weirdly enough, takes a weird right turn into uncomfortable territory because this one revolves around the civil war in Angola and plays that for laughs.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Really?
Didn't get as warm as a reception as the first one.
What a surprise.
Yeah. There's a medical drama called Vital Signs, which is almost kind of like St. Elsewhere, only it doesn't have that Tommy Westphal twist. At least that I know of. I haven't seen
But it had a bunch of good actors pop up in it, right?
Right. Who is in that, by the way?
Jimmy Smits. I have a list. Jimmy Smits, Laura San Giacomo, Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Bradley Whitford. And Wallace Langham, who Corey and I appreciate because he was on Larry Sanders Show.
Right. And 24 and some other things. Great. There's a movie called Lisa, which is a stalker thriller by Gary Sherman, who's done a lot of seedy, schlocky movies such as Vice Squad and Wanted Dead or Alive, the Rutger Hauer adaptation of the Steve McQueen show. And I haven't seen anything about this, but the one main actress I think was in a TV show. I think it was Blossom. Is she
is it the one from
Meacham? Mahan?
Yeah, I forgot her name. I have it listed as Diane Ladd. So.
Oh well, she's the mother.
Okay.
The plot basically revolves around this woman is looking to go out and start dating again, and her teenage daughter gets protective and starts following the one man that her mom's been dating, and it turns out he's a stalker.
I remember this from like Showtime in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Then there's also The Guardian, which is a William Friedkin return to horror, but it's about a demonic possessed druid tree.
This was almost our poster boy for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a creepy tree, though.
It's so fatuous and silly you can't take it seriously, but it has a lot of really good gore effects. I'll give it that.
A good movie in the vein of The Car.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Or The Believers or something like that.
Yeah.
Then you have Q&A, which is a Sidney Lumet police corruption drama. Like he's made a lot of those. And it's with Armand Assante, Nick Nolte at probably his sleaziest. It's a really good movie. Underrated movie. I'd recommend that. Chattahoochee, which is a mental asylum drama starring Gary Oldman.
It's a true story too.
Yeah, it's he plays a Korean War vet who fakes mental illness so that his wife Frances McDormand can get insurance, and Dennis Hopper happens to be in it as well.
So this is his third film in 2 months.
Yeah,
because he had that Keith Sutherland crime drama last month.
Yeah. And then the last movie for the month was Wild Orchid, which is a Mickey Rourke, Zalman King erotic drama.
No, thank you.
And if you want to see one of those, you're better off watching 9.5 Weeks with Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger. Not this.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
So, well, are you ready for our next segment, Jeff?
Let's do it.
Our favorite portion of the podcast.
This is what he looks forward to the most with these podcasts. I swear.
This is my favorite part. I don't know about you guys. So, all right, here we go.
You know, it's funny. I honestly forgot what we picked, but I'll remember when we see it.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, boy.
So, if you'll describe this for the audio listeners, Jeff.
Okay. Well, there's a red-backed poster. There's a red-haired woman in some sort of scantily clad black witchy lingerie-looking thing standing next to a table full of apples, or a table with like a little pillar with a bunch of apples. It says a delicious black comedy a la Peter Greenway.
Whatever that means.
I don't know. And also the other quote is best film of the year, more perverse than Python, more dazzling than DeMille, more graphically daring than anything you're likely to see on the screen.
Amazing. I have.
And there's a little. My favorite thing on the bottom, though, due to the explicit nature of this film, no one under 18 will be admitted.
Yeah. It's a bit of a British film. So they have some more explicit directions than Americans ever get. You'll notice above the quote, a delicious black comedy all Peter Greenway. I have two things blurred out. So they're quotes from this. So I will move forward with that.
Okay. Oh, the other thing, I didn't even read the tagline, lust, murder, dessert.
And here's the second tagline.
Bon appetit.
So what do you think this is about?
I mean, it's Hungry for Apples, the movie, of course. I'm thinking it's some sort of send up of the Snow White witch thing where she tries to kill people with apples, or maybe puts maybe she's the infamous person who's like putting the razor blades in the Halloween candy. I don't. It's got to do with the apples. It's got to do with food. It's going to be like, I don't know, rotten to the core or something. I don't.
Oh yeah, do you want to come up with a title?
It genuinely seems like she's just this femme fatale who.
I like how Jeff thinks that every title is a pun.
It is.
It actually worked for Blind Fury.
It was the 90s. I mean, could you blame me?
Yeah.
But like, no, she's got to be some sort of femme fatale whose method of execution is usually food related.
All right, I'll let you stop flailing.
Okay.
Title. Here you go.
So the title? Wait, no, hang on.
Oh. I don't think you saw it.
I didn't see it.
Because I didn't see it, and I saw only like 2 words, so like I have no idea. So
Red Delicious. No.
You're really pressing me on this.
That would take up a lot of space on there.
I'm just.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Jenny Appleseed.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay, fine.
Here you go.
You're never gonna get it.
No.
The thief, his wife, and her lover.
The cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover.
that is an annoying title.
It is. It's unwieldy.
That sounds like a folktale.
So what do you think this is about?
I mean,
Or actually not.
I mean, obviously, we know what
it's about the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover.
Yeah. What is this actually about, Corey?
Okay, so this is about Michael Gambon, before he was Dumbledore, plays a British gangster whose wife, Helen Mirren in the poster, is having an affair with her lover, and who actually is one of the underlings of Michael Gambon's gang. And so once he finds this out, the whole thing's shot in a very formless kind of stagey way. So there's like 3 sets that they go between. It almost could be like a theatrical production. When he finds out, spoiler alert, he has him killed, and then they eat his remains. So there's some cannibalism in it.
Oh, okay.
With a side of apples.
That's dark.
That's what's under the red velvet curtain.
Pork chops and applesauce.
So the apples is almost kind of a red herring.
Yeah. But you were kind of getting there because the food is his cook or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously it's sexy, so you were never going to get it.
Not my best performance.
Well, you were set up for failure. So.
System's rigged, man.
Do we have any picks of the month?
Sure. I have a documentary that I watched that came out in 90. We'll talk about it later in the series. I think it came out in 94.
Yeah, I think so.
Crumb. About Robert Crumb, the cartoonist behind Fritz the Cat. And it's extraordinary. Very candid, brutally honest, mesmerizing. I would highly recommend. Don't even read anything about it. Just going cold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you have anything this month, Jim?
Nah.
Yeah. So
I was 3 years old.
No, not for April 1990. For what you watched.
Damn it, Jimmy.
No, I was 3 years old. I regressed. No,
he's got reverse progeria.
Yeah. I didn't like other than the movies that I saw with you. That was it. Like we've been watching. We finished off the Clone Wars.
That's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That could be a pick of the month.
Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had already seen most of Clone Wars. I just hadn't seen the newest season that was released. So we had to burn through the whole series for him to get caught up. Then we finally saw the last season, which was just like the wait was worth it. Like holy crap!
Yeah, the stuff that came out back in April was some of the best of the show.
Yeah, and
they finally had the time and energy and money to make what they wanted.
Yeah, to top it off.
So yeah.
And tie it in with the rest of the everything.
Canon.
Yeah. And then we finally started Star Wars Rebels. And
Only 4 episodes.
only 4 episodes in, but like it's weird that like I think I've only seen a couple episodes a couple times, and then like the rest I either missed it or seen at least once. So like seeing the first season, I'm like, I remember this, but I don't. It's weird, but like it's fun.
Good. What was that? Yeah. Good show.
Nice. I jumped on the Schitt's Creek bandwagon, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, we're into season 2 now.
I hear it's rough to start.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
So many shows that are like that, like, oh, you just got to get to season 2, and it's like I'd like it to be good right away.
It's
like
it's
Parks and
good.
Rec is the same way.
It's good, but it's a slow burn. Like
Yeah.
that's really what it is, because it's very it's like Arrested Development. It's basically the same plot. Like rich family loses everything and has to start over, but the gag is that they bought a town called Schitt's Creek just as a joke, and that's their only remaining asset. And so they're like living out of a hotel in this little town, and it's just like they're meeting all the other towny characters and trying to adjust, and that's where the comedy comes in. But it's like it's from a so in the beginning, like they have to sort of come down from that up on high mentality before they can really like identify with everyone else enough to be
it's like
funny
Two
together.
Girls, where the whole first season was just, oh, you're not rich anymore.
Right. That's more or
It
less.
got better later on because then she's like finally just a person.
Yeah.
They
So
got to be great together. SCTV reunion between the two of them. They got to be unbelievable together.
Oh, Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
Yeah, that was I always preferred that over
Yeah.
SNL, to be honest with you. SCTV.
And I didn't realize that was Dan Levy was Eugene Levy's son.
yeah, I didn't
know
realize
that
that
either.
Yeah,
It's the eyebrows.
so that's cool
Give it away.
Yeah.
that he's successful too.
He could have been Peter Gallagher's son. Those eyebrows.
I watched a couple episodes back when it first aired, and I wasn't sure about it, but it seems to be going on. It seems to get better as it goes. So
It does. It's very Canadian. But it's also 20-minute episodes, so it's like it's easy to digest. You can just knock out a whole season in a night.
Oh boy. So the film I've been holding on to for pick of the month is a comedy from the year I was born in, starring a young Billy Crystal and a partner played by Gregory Hines. They're both cops.
Oh,
It's called Running Scared.
I love this movie.
I finally saw it.
I love it.
And I had a date night and watched that. I didn't know anything about this because
Jimmy Smits is the villain.
They're just like on a car with guns. I'm like, okay, they could be thieves or cops. It didn't really tell me anything. So I went into this completely cold. Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
So they're in, what is it, Chicago? Yeah,
Chicago, yeah.
And they're just investigating crime, and they shake down Joe Pantoliano, which I love.
Louis Pants.
He has the craziest hair, and they discover sort of like a little bit of a ring that's smuggling drugs up there, and it's headed by Jimmy Smits. So they're like, we got to take this guy down, but they're getting too close, and they got kind of like overstep their bounds. And so their chief knocks them down a peg and is like, you got to take a week off and get the hell out of here. And suddenly it takes a left turn, and they go on vacation to Miami.
You know what's great about it? In most movies where they talk about retiring, it's like, this is the last thing I do before they retire. They actually go in retirement for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's great. And they like follow
So we get to see a whole montage.
And open it. And
We get to see a whole montage of them down in Miami, like drinking, fishing. It's great.
Yeah, the best part is they come back from their vacation, and Gregory Hines is wearing like he had been wearing like a Cubs hat earlier in the film, and now he's wearing like a Dolphins jersey or something.
Yeah.
I forget exactly, but like it's like clear, like we're done now with Chicago. No, fuck the Bears. So, but it's really good chemistry between the two. I'm very surprised because I thought this was like in between some comedy stuff. Billy Crystal had done Soap, and then went to this, and then did all his other comedies. Like 2 years or 3 years later, he does When Harry Met Sally, and then a couple years after that is City Slickers and Mr. Saturday Night and all his other films. And he's like, he could have been an action comedy star more than a comedy star. Yeah. And just didn't pick this up. And there's always been rumors of a sequel. Gregory Hines has gone back and forth. Like White Nights is kind of an action drama. It's not too much action, but
it's also directed by the perpetually underappreciated Peter Hyams.
Mm-hmm. Love Peter Hyams. I actually would posit that 2010 is better than 2001.
I know. I've heard you say that.
Also because I love Shider, so that's a different story.
He also did the great Outland with Sean Connery.
Yeah, I need to see Outland. So yeah, Peter Hyams is very underrated, very good director, and Running Scared, definitely recommend if you like Billy Crystal or Gregory Hines. And the interesting thing about this was he's the one that gets the love interest. Typically, you'd have like the white guy get the love interest, but this is one of the first comedies that gives a black guy the love interest.
Right.
I read trivia about it a little bit. That's like one of the reasons he signed on, and Billy was all supportive of that. He's like, yeah, this is like something different. We gotta try out.
There's a great car chase on the train tracks.
Oh yeah, another classic to add to my retinue of great car chases.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Smith plays a good villain, which sets him up for when
he's the only disappointing part of the movie I found.
I liked him. I thought he was fine. He's a little demure.
Yeah, he hasn't given that much.
Yeah. Joey Pants is a more interesting villain, but he's not in it the whole time. So, but yeah. So those are our picks of the month. I know what we're doing next month.
Oh, can I throw in a plug real quick?
Yeah.
If anybody follows us on Facebook or anything, I'm doing the 31 horror movies in 31 days reviews. If anybody's interested.
Come from our website. Oh, our website also has the link to Facebook and Twitter. So if you follow either of those, it's just Interjected. I think it's at Interjected. It's at Podcast Ejections is the Twitter. And I think you just look up Interjections Podcast on Facebook and you'll be able to follow us there.
Right.
And you'll get them every time he posts and anytime we post these podcasts.
Yeah.
And next month we'll be finishing up a trilogy that is near and dear to Jeff's heart. So he'll be taking the lead on that one.
Ghoulies?
Ghoulies. Yeah.
Is this the one where they go to college?
Sure. So thank you for tuning in with us this time. We hope you take our recommendations to heart, try out a hidden gem that we might have found. And if you were curious about what our thoughts on Crybaby, hopefully you enjoyed that as well.
So like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends.
And thanks for listening.
I'll listen to Jimmy.
Thanks, guys. Got my teeth back.